So we went over the
SIP and the protocols.
SIP and the protocol or the operations of SIP. Now we're going to go into kind of a one little layer lower, right? Kind of talking about some of the elements that make up the network or the SIP operations that you're going to be using. So you can see up on the screen or on your slides right there, we have these 6 kind of elements that make up what we're doing. Now, there are more, but these are kind of the ones that we thought to be most interesting. So we're going to kind of just briefly go over these things, right? So user agent, proxy server, what is all this stuff? Registrar, direct server, or redirect server, session border control, and the gateway. Now you'll kind of see this is kind of cool what it leads into, but you'll see. All right, so user agent. What is the user agent? So the user agent, first of the elements or the network elements that we're going to talk about, is essentially kind of like the core, or how you would say the object that manages your SIP session. Now I'm not going to go too in depth about this, but that's pretty much the gist of it. It controls all the functions that you would implement that essentially makes your SIP session kind of similar to what a phone call would be like.
Yeah.
All right, so that's enough about the user agent. You have a proxy server. The proxy server, interesting little thing about the proxy server, and I have a little animation or something after this, but it's the intermediary object or entity in between you and the person you're trying to connect with.
Yeah, in between the endpoints.
In between the 2 endpoints. There you go. Yeah. So proxy servers, in a lot of cases, like for instance, imagine you're a subscriber to a telephone company or a cell phone company, and you didn't pay your bill, right? Well, you're trying to call so-and-so, and the proxy server is not going to let you because you didn't pay your bill, right? So it's kind of like that intermediary buffer. In a lot of cases, that's what's happening. Like that's how the control is maintained, is through these proxy servers. They're also used to protect people too. So I mean, like, there's lots of uses for them. You can look up online.
Yeah, probably maybe call blocking.
Lots of stuff like that. But yeah, so in short, you can kind of see up there, ensure a request is sent to another entity closer to target user. Now, that's kind of like the routing of the proxy servers. Now, let's see this little animation we have here. All right, so you have Alice and Bob. Alice wants to call Bob, so Alice says, ask Bob what the current time is. Goes to the proxy server, and the proxy server says, Bob, hey, what's the current time? And then Bob says, the time is 7 p.m. We'll go through the proxy server, and then the proxy says, oh, Bob says the time is 7 p.m. So you can kind of get the picture of what the proxy server is doing there.
Right. Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So you kind of get the picture of what the proxy server is doing there.
Yeah, it's like the intermediary.
Intermediary. All right. Cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. So next element that we have is the registrar. The registrar is a SIP endpoint, and it accepts the register requests, right? So you register, say, your username or whatever. It accepts the request from you. If, for instance, you're not registered with the registrar, well, then there's an issue. So then you might need to register with the registrar, and then in which case, then then it has your information and so on and so forth, right? So it's just another piece of the of SIP. Next element is redirect server. So I'm just going to read this. Redirect server allows proxy servers to direct SIP sessions invitation to external domains, right? So I mean, you can kind of follow the chart up there. Not so easy to follow, but this is off of Wikipedia. I'd recommend checking it out, going down to just clicking on the little sublink for redirect server if you want to know more about this. So not such a super big deal for at least what we're going to be working on, but thought it was a little bit interesting when it gets to a more intricate system. Now, gateway in particular is what I like, but yeah, these are the last 2 of the elements. Now, you have the session border controller, which I'm just going to read, exerts control over VoIP signaling setup during and teardown. So the border controller is essentially kind of monitoring all of this and And yeah, the border controller is essentially monitoring all of this and making sure that that everything's going right.
You're right. Like, nothing's like going out of bounds or like maybe losing stuff, things like that.
Exactly. Then the last one is the gateway. So the gateway we've talked about, the PSTN, the public switch telephone network. That's a gateway. So this basically takes you from your SIP network to the public switch telephone network and backwards, right?
Yeah,
So
it's like, how we mentioned, if you're on the VoIP network or on the internet, how are you going to call someone on the local landline or on the telephone network? And that's what the gateways are for.
Yeah, and SIP has all this, integrated into it. So that's why it's such a strong, and prominent protocol to use when
VoIP,
when using VoIP. Anyways, I hope that wasn't too confusing or too bad. We just we're going to walk you through some interesting things that we found, and hopefully you found it useful as well. We will see you in the next videos, and yeah, so stay tuned.